All right, let's dive in. We're talking all about how to speak English faster and more fluently, especially if you're someone who's really busy.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people can relate to that, Life gets in the way.
For sure. For sure. We actually found a YouTube video. Two English learners were just kind of chatting, sharing their tips, and we thought it would be fun to kind of break it down and
see what we can learn.
Yeah. So the first tip they gave was to narrate your life.
Oh yeah, I love that one.
Have you actually tried that?
You know what? I actually have. And I'm pretty sure that there is some research out there that suggests that self-talk can actually help you learn a language.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. When you talk to yourself in English about your day, you're kind of giving your brain a workout.
It's almost like having a built-in conversation partner.
Exactly. But without the pressure.
Right. Nobody's judging.
Yeah. And you can do it anywhere.
And you can
speak out loud if you're alone.
Right.
Or you can just think silently to yourself in English.
I like that. I actually do that when I'm walking the dog. I don't even realize I'm doing it. I'm just thinking about what I have to do for the day, but I'm doing it all in English.
Exactly.
So, all right. Their next tip was about pronunciation. They called it pronunciation power-ups.
Okay. Yeah.
And they talk about the importance of really mimicking native speakers.
Mimicry can be really useful, I think. Especially if you focus on the rhythm and the tone of the language.
Yeah. They had a good example in the video, just a really simple phrase what a beautiful day.
Yeah. And how different that can sound depending on where you put the emphasis.
It's almost like music,
It really is.
And that's actually something that I struggled with when I was first learning English. I was so focused on getting the words right that I totally forgot about
Yeah. The music of it.
The music, the rhythm, yeah.
But there are so many fun ways to practice pronunciation. You can watch movies, you can listen to music.
Podcasts.
Exactly. And you can just try to imitate the way native speakers talk.
I've heard about breaking down sentences into sounds.
Oh, yeah.
To practice that way, are there any resources that you recommend for pronunciation?
There are some great websites and apps out there.
Oh, cool.
That can actually visualize the sounds.
That's awesome.
And some of them can even give you feedback.
Oh, wow.
On your pronunciation.
I need to check those out. Okay. So the third tip they had was all about vocabulary.
Mm-hmm.
And they suggested, reading a lot, writing down any new words that you come across. And then the most important part, actually using them.
That's how you really learn them.
Yeah. It's taking it from your passive vocabulary to your active vocabulary.
Exactly.
And in the video, they mentioned all kinds of reading material children's books, even sports articles, anything you're interested in.
Find something you're passionate about.
Exactly.
If you like cooking.
Yeah.
Learn English recipes. Watch cooking shows. And you'll pick up vocabulary without even realizing it.
That's actually a really good idea. I'm going to have to try that.
Yeah.
So one of the other things they really emphasized was having actual conversations.
Right, with native speakers?
With native speakers if possible, or at least somebody who's fluent.
There's no substitute for that.
It's true. It's like learning to swim. You can read about it all you want, but until you get in the water, you're not really going to learn.
Exactly.
And that's the thing. A lot of people are so afraid of making mistakes.
Yeah, but you have to get over that.
And that's the only way you learn.
It's part of the process.
And you start to pick up natural expressions, the slang, things that you wouldn't learn from a textbook.
Absolutely.
So where would you even suggest finding a conversation partner?
Well, they mentioned language exchange programs.
Yeah.
There are online communities, conversation clubs.
There are so many options now.
Yeah, there are lots of online platforms now where you can connect with people from all over the world.
So there really is no excuse anymore.
No.
You have the world at your fingertips.
Exactly.
That's really cool.
I mean, it's amazing, really, all the resources out there now.
Yeah, and even if you can only, fit in a short conversation every now and then.
It all adds up.
It really does. It's all about consistency,
Like building a muscle?
Yeah. The more you use those English-speaking muscles, the stronger they get.
Exactly. You got to find a routine that works for you and stick with it.
And that's the thing. I feel sometimes it's easy to get overwhelmed with all the different methods and resources out there.
Oh, sure.
You're just where do I even start?
Right. But the most important thing is to find what works for you.
Yeah. Experiment.
Yeah.
Try different things until you find something that clicks.
Exactly. Everyone learns differently.
There's no one size fits all.
Right. Everyone has different learning styles.
Yeah.
Different schedules.
Right. Different amounts of time that they can dedicate to it.
And that's one of the things I really liked about that video. The tips were all about things that you can do even if you're super busy.
Yeah, you don't need like hours and hours of free time.
Exactly. You can make progress even with just a few minutes here and there.
Like those little pronunciation tweaks, right? Over time, those really make a big difference.
They do. It's all about being mindful and like constantly refining your approach.
And I think it's important to like celebrate those small victories along the way.
Absolutely.
Because it's encouraging, keeps you motivated.
For sure.
So let's kind of like step back for a sec and recap the 4 main takeaways from this deep dive.
Okay.
All right. So first up, we have the narrate your life technique.
Oh, yeah. Talking to yourself in English.
Exactly. Just about your day, what you're doing.
It gets your brain thinking in English.
Yeah, it really does. It's a super simple but effective way to boost your fluency and confidence.
And then there's the pronunciation power-up.
Oh, yeah. Mimicking native speakers.
Exactly. Pay attention to stress, intonation, and connected speech.
And use those resources, those websites and apps we were talking about earlier.
Those can really help.
Next up is vocabulary expansion.
Reading, writing down new words, and most importantly, actually using them.
You got to put those words into action.
Don't just let them sit in your notebook.
And lastly, we have the real conversations matter tip.
That's a big one.
It is. You got to find ways to actually speak with native English speakers, or at least somebody who's fluent.
Yeah, language exchange programs, online communities, conversation clubs, anything like that.
That's where you really see the improvement.
Those real-life conversations are so valuable.
So, to all our listeners out there, these 4 tips are basically a roadmap to better English speaking.
Even if you don't have a lot of time.
Exactly. You can do it. But we want to leave you with a question.
What's one small action you can take today to start using these tips?
Will you narrate your morning routine in English?
Will you listen to a podcast and try to copy the way the host speaks?
Will you pick up an English book and write down a new word you find?
And then try to use that word in a sentence.
Or will you reach out to a language exchange partner online?
It all starts with one small step.
You got this. Yeah, one small step can make a big difference.
Definitely. And it's important to remember that every conversation you have, every new word, every time you work on your pronunciation, it's all a win.
Yeah, that's a great way to look at it. And on that note, I think we're going to wrap up this deep dive into speaking English more fluently.
Sounds good.
We hope that all of our listeners out there found some helpful tips and are ready to put them into action.
Yeah, until next time, keep practicing.
And remember, you got this.